Hello everyone! In this video, I will present about the experiment video of Senior Mechanical Laboratory project about analyzing the effectiveness of the using laptop cooling pad. Enjoy watching! Here is the introduction of the project. In order to analyzing the effectiveness of the using laptop cooling pad, the project will be done by testing the overheating laptop. The result of this experiment can be compared with the temperature of the overheating laptop without using the cooling pad and with the using of cooling pad. Therefore, it can be analyzed that the using of the cooling pad is working or not. Next is the objective of this project. The main objective is to compare the result of the temperature rate used between the two types of the cooling pad used and to analyze the effectiveness of using the cooling pad on a overheating laptop. Therefore, the expected findings of this heat transfer experiment is to knowing that the use of the cooling pad for overheating laptop is working efficiently or not. And here is the equipment list. There are several equipment to conduct this experiment. For the first, it is laptop as the main object to conduct the experiment. For the second, it is a charger to charge the laptop when the battery is low, and for the third and fourth it is the cooling pad with one fan and two fan, and for the next it is pillow as the helping equipment to make the laptop dissipate heat, and for the last it is the software that used. For the first it is the Prime 95 software. This is used to add the load of the CPU, and for the next is the Halloooo monitor software to monitor the temperature. And here is the specification of the laptop used, with this laptop Lenovo Intel Air Core i3. Next is the experiment setting. This experiment was carried out repeatedly by placing the cooling pad in the bottom of the laptop. Then the temperature changes can be monitoring using the Halloooo monitor software. And here is the scenario of this project. There will be two scenarios to conduct this heat transfer experiment, which are with one fan cooling pad and two fan cooling pad. For each scenario, it will be repeated as much as 7 times, with the variable measure is initial temperature and the final temperature, which is steady state temperature. And for the temperature, without cooling pad, for the maximum and minimum temperature it is 67 degrees Celsius and 43 degrees Celsius respectively. And the experiment of both scenarios are examined by placing the CPU under load with the laptop cooling pad. Next is the procedure to conduct the experiment. First, prepare all the equipment and then turn on the laptop and use it for a while until the temperature increase. If the temperature is still low, use the Prime 95 software to add the load of the CPU. Therefore the temperature will be increased. And then the next is open the temperature software, and then next is the take the laptop cooling pad and then attach it to the bottom of the laptop. Next, remove the cooling pad when the temperature already in the steady state condition, and the last is repeat the experiment until 7 times for each scenario and record the data. And here's the result of the experiment. Based on the data, it can be concluded that the heat transfer experiment with one fan cooling pad will produce lower temperature compared with two fan cooling pad. Through this video, I will show you how I conduct my heat transfer experiment to analyze the effectiveness of the using cooling pad laptop. In this video, I will use two kind of scenario. For the first scenario, it is the heat transfer experiment by using the cooling pad with one fan. And for the second one, it is the heat transfer experiment by using the cooling pad with two fans. Let's see the experiment. The first step that we need to do is turn on the laptop, and then after that we can use it for a while until the laptop's temperature is increasing. To check the temperature, we can use the temperature software. In this experiment, the software that used to monitor the temperature is the Halloooo monitor. As we can see in this display, The temperature and also the percentage of the CPU performance is shown. There will be two scenario of this experiment, which is the heat transfer experiment with one fan cooling pad and two fan cooling pad. Each scenario will be repeated as much as 7 times, and in this sample of video experiment, the minimum and the maximum temperature, it is 50 degrees Celsius and 71 degrees Celsius respectively, which is it is slightly different with the actual experiment. In addition, if the initial temperature of this experiment is not high enough, we can use Prime 95 software to add the load of the CPU. Therefore, it can help the laptop temperature increasing. In this experiment, the two scenarios are placing the CPU under load with the laptop cooling pad. And here is the Prime 95 software. So let's start with the experiment from the first scenario, then continue to the second scenario. For the first scenario, I will conduct the heat transfer experiment by using the cooling pad laptop with one fan. The temperature start to decrease. When the temperature is already in the steady state condition, we can unplug the cooling pad. And here is the final temperature. It is around 55 degrees Celsius. And for the second scenario, I will conduct the experiment by using the cooling pad with two fans. Temperature for the second scenario, it is 61 Celsius. The temperature start to decrease. Compare with the first scenario, using the two fan of cooling pad will result more longer time to reach the steady state temperature. That's all about this sample video of experiment. Last is the conclusion of this video sample experiment. The main purpose is to reduce the operating temperature of the laptop, and the working principle of the cooling pad itself is to utilize the wind from the fan as a cooler around the laptop so that the laptop can work at lower temperature. Second, the temperature reduced in scenario 1 is faster compared with scenario 2. It is because the fan speed of the cooling pad with one fan it is higher than cooling pad with two fan. And for the third, the use of the cooling pad is affecting the performance of the CPU even it is not significantly. The last, based on the observation, the use of laptop cooling pad laptop is efficient to be used on overheating laptop. It is because the cooling pad do work and help to lower temperature. That's all from me. Thank you and have a nice day.